and I don't want to really talk about like Cobra Kai as a whole. Like, why do you guys think this show is such a good show? Because everyone keeps on talking about it, and to some degree, like on an outsider looking in, it does look like a ridiculous show about people fighting and for petty reasons. But on the inside looking out, it's a whole different dynamic.
You know, the thing about this show, it's not a fantastic show. But
Speak
it's
for
so
yourself.
no.
Hey, why do you watch it?
The thing
then?
about this show is that it's so much fun to watch.
Like it's entertaining, right?
It's so entertaining. It's so fun. Like because for example, we've talked about like the stupid decisions that characters make sometimes that don't make any sense.
Yeah.
We've talked about, you see LaRusso fighting with his wife all the time about this karate stuff, and it's like in a realistic way, these conversations don't make any sense. It's like, why are you having these kind of conversations? The way that Silver was able to manipulate LaRusso at the party in this season to just shame their entire family, was like, how are you so easily baited into stuff like this?
Yeah.
But every time it's like, I love watching Ralph Macchio, like even at 50, 60 years old, doing karate moves. I love watching Johnny Lawrence. I love watching all of these characters that I grew up watching, and it's just like a fun karate fighting show. Like, and there really aren't very many shows in that genre to watch right now.
Yeah.
And so this is kind of alone in its own little box, and it's doing it in a way that is fun and enjoyable. So yeah, that's why that's at least that's my take on the show.
Okay. What about you, Peter?
I really enjoy it because of I think they really do a good job of combining the different cultures together, you know, because it's like you're taking the lore of the 80s, you know, background of the whole entire concept of the show, and then, you know, it's in the little things, you know. So it's like when Johnny and
LaRusso,
get to, like, you know, drink together as they're talking about their problems. Okay, that's cool. But then also when they show, like, when Johnny's learning how to you know, Uber and, you know, DoorDash and all that stuff,
and Goggle.
and so they were like, "Can you play some Billie Eilish?" And then he's like, "Yeah, we got that." I was like, "There's no way this man, like, if he's like an audiophile, he would have took, you know, Billie Eilish, took the vinyl, crossed it into a cassette tape so that he could play in that van for specific guests, you know." But then he ends up putting on Billy Idol,
Yeah.
you know. So it's just like, dude, that's
Billie
great.
Eilish.
That's great, you know. So, but if he had actually did that with put Billie Eilish on a cassette, I would have been like, all right, that's pretty dope. I could dig that.
See, the thing is that, like, for a lot of these things, if it was in a different type of show, it would suck.
Yeah.
Like, it wouldn't be fun to watch. Like, why does this guy who's like 50 something not know how to work a phone? That doesn't make sense.
But
like,
it's possible though, because
it's possible, sure, but
There are
like,
some people who don't like.
it's not like
watch-
he's stuck
like
in
use
a
technology.
time machine and he came from the 80s. It's like he was around and he was aware while all of these things were happening. So if you like, I'm just like, if that kind of situation was played out in another show in like a different context, it would be like, this isn't really like, this is kind of stupid. But then in this show, just like the way that it's all set up, the way that it works, the fact that it feels like we're reaching back in time, that allows us to suspend our disbelief of, it doesn't really make sense why a 50-year-old man wouldn't know how to operate a phone.
Yeah.
Like, 50 years old is like, it's old, but it's not so old that you don't know how to pronounce Google. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
stuff like that. So,
And he can't even say like hashtag, he says hash brown instead, you know?
yeah, stuff like that. It's but in this show it works because of everything else that's around it and
Yeah.
everything else that comes with it.
Yeah.
So that's what that goes back to, like, the whole, it's not like a fantastic show as far as, like, it's not like what perfectly written, it's not like the whole setup and plot is there, but it's just like everything works together so well.
Yeah. What about you? What's your take on why you think it's such an amazing show?
I think such an amazing show because it's like 10 episodes, 30 minutes, straight to the point. But like each episode's like entertaining and ends very well. And I like how they focus on Johnny's perspective like how he's miserable and he wants to rebuild himself by rebuilding Cobra Kai. And these characters like good character development because they all grow up to like amazing mature people, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know who I think we could see the most in, definitely Stingray.
Stingray? Hell no.
Dude, are you kidding me? He just took those guys out, dude. The way he drove that car on the road with glasses on, that horsepower, and they didn't die. That's amazing.
Oh, yeah, I want to add one thing. Like everybody's changed except for Kyler Park. Like he's still an ass. He's still like
Kyler
he
Park.
needs to grow up. Like I hope he grows his ass up in next season.
Yeah.
Even Moon grew up.
Yeah, definitely.
And Yas too, and she
Yas
got front wedged.
Exactly.
Well, Anthony, like he went from spoiled brat to like being a wimp. Like that's the only character that hasn't changed.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think for me, what I think why this show is such a great show is that it does, because for TV shows, one biggest thing that's important is like the unresolvable conflict, right? That they have for TV, and that's why like for every episode, why there's like a problem. And I feel like this idea about bullying and who's the bully, and the perspective of us seeing it from a different perspective, and like even what's his face oh my god,
Robbie?
Silver said it best in this the recent episode, or the last episode of season 10, where he said there's no good or evil, it's just survival, right? It's just winner or loser. And it's weird, we often look at it as like, oh, the Russo's the good person because he did this thing, and Johnny's the bad person. But reality, they just have two different approaches towards a similar goal. Right. So the show shows you that kind of moral ambiguity, more like gray morality within the series, which is still still definitely compelling, but it's also very simplistic, so it's not too complicated.
Can I add to something?
So yeah,
the reason I like Cobra Kai as well is because like the whole karate thing, like there's gonna be bullies and assholes, and and they teach us how it's important to learn karate so we can stand up to them and protect ourselves, and that's like the moral of the whole thing. Like we all remember being bullied and how we can stand for ourselves. Like that's why I like about it.
That, and also I just feel like the life lessons are so like relatable.
Yeah, like it makes you it stands out in a way.
Like for example, even with Silver,
like flipping the script,
Yeah, when he said there's a difference between hearing and listening. Like that, like small things like that, where it's like that's so relatable for people, or even just like Johnny in general, where he was saying I was always looking at the past but never looking right in front of me. Where it's like for people, especially our age, who are like in our like late or close to 30s, and that kind of thing, where we may have some regrets, you can kind of relate to these characters and see like when you don't let go of the past, these are some consequences that you deal with.
Or that quote from Hawk in the finale, like how they call him Faux Hawk, and he's like, yeah, that's life, shit happens, you move on, you deal with it, you win some, you lose some. Except for you haven't grown up, but the point of that is like that stood out to me the most.
Yeah, so I think that's what I'm saying. So I think it's definitely an amazing show, a really well written show. But